Hell yeah, motherfuckers. Fucking Death Angel right there. And guess who the fuck I have on the line with me right the fuck now? Dude, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. I just got home from Death Angel rehearsal like 20 minutes ago.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. So tell us, man, what's I know you guys you're busy as hell, man, and you especially, you got all kinds of stuff going on, but yeah, tell us what's going on in the world of Will Carroll, man.
Well, Death Angel leaves for Europe. Some of them leave on Sunday and I leave on Monday, and we have a 4-week tour, like a summer festival run in Europe with a couple of headliners and a couple of other random shows with Voivod and Biohazard. But yeah, we're going to be out there for 4 weeks, and then I stay out there and meet up with Nefarious, and then we do 3 additional weeks in Europe as well. So I'll be out there for a total of 7 weeks with 2 different bands. So it's going to be a busy summer.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, man. We just blasted some Nefarious a little bit ago, man. That fucking
sweet.
Yeah, dude, that record was badass too, man. Hell yeah.
Thanks, man. It was pretty cool how it all came together. You know, I mean, we had some singer issues, but now that's worked out, and we have a solid lineup, and we're going to be touring as much as we can, you know, for the rest of this year and next year before we record another album.
Yeah. You know, I was gonna ask. I noticed that there was a singer switch up, man. What happened?
You know, on the album we had Caton from Hyrax, and he did a great job on the record.
Yeah.
He sounds great, but basically he ghosted us. Like after we recorded the album and we were putting it together and getting ready to put it out, we were having communication issues with him, and we had our debut show coming up, and we couldn't get a hold of him. We didn't know if he was actually even going to show up to the gig, but he did do the gig. He showed up, and it was great. He sounded great, and the people seemed to love it. So we were excited about moving forward, and then we didn't hear from him again for like over a month. He just stopped talking to us.
Wow.
And we had to make a decision, so we let him go, and we got someone from the Bay Area named Sean Rivera, and he's doing a killer job so far, man. Like, we've done a handful of shows with him now, and he's singing the Caton stuff great, and he puts his own little flair to it, and I'm excited about recording new stuff with him and, you know, moving forward. It's unfortunate, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, have you talked to Caton since then?
Nope. None of us have. Nope. So we still don't know why he lost interest. I mean, clearly he didn't want to be in the band anymore. So we don't know why he did that. And I have no idea what triggered it or anything. But we can't just sit around and keep wondering like why he left the band. So we had to move forward, and now we're here.
Well, yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, fuck, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, that's really weird, man. Like, I mean, fuck, I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, yeah, I don't either. I mean, I know he's busy with Hyrax, and they had just released a new album right before our album came out, so he had a lot of touring to do with them. And I understand. We all understand. We get it. But you know, it would have been nice to at least get a reason why, or you know, just give us a heads up that he wasn't really into it anymore, you know, and that's what we all assumed, that he just wasn't into it anymore, unfortunately. So
yeah.
Oh well, you know, what are you gonna do?
Communication is definitely something that's important.
Right.
I mean, you got to communicate, man. Well, I mean,
but yeah,
I'm glad that things are moving forward. You guys are, you know, it sounds like you're doing great, and you know, fuck, man. Like,
yeah, like we just did like a little like 3-day, you know, mini tour, I guess. Like a weekend ago, we played in Northern California by Sacramento, and we played Berkeley. We played Reno, Nevada, and you know, it was a good way to break our new singer in, and he did a great job, and it was hella fun. And yeah, we're excited about playing Europe for the first time. And yeah, I mean, we're already working on new material, and he actually, our new singer, has re-recorded the whole first album. and we're going to re-release it on CD with his vocals. I mean, the band's going to put it out themselves, not my label. Me and Dave Hecht, we have our label, Hectic Bleeding Priest. We put out the vinyl version, and we've already put out 2 versions of it, and we're not going to put out a 3rd version. So that the new version of the album with Sean Rivera singing is only going to be on CD and probably digital download as well.
Well, that's cool. I think that's cool, man. I always like it when, you know, I know some fans get fucking butthurt and you're like, no, don't fucking redo this or do that, you know, but like,
right.
Hey, man, right. Like the more versions, like what does it hurt, you know, like it doesn't ruin the other one, you know, if you like the other one, you can keep that one, but then you have another one, you know, and you can have 2. So it's like, you know, what the hell, man? But that's cool. I look forward to hearing that.
I don't think any of the guys in the band foresaw us releasing this first album 3 times.
Right.
Because like you know, Hectic Bleeding Priest Records, we released the first version, and it was minus a song from the CD version. Like the CD version had 1 extra song, and tons of people were upset about that. And the reason why we omitted one of the songs was because of the engineer of the album insisted that we don't put too many songs on the vinyl version, so it will sound good. If we put too many songs on one side, you know, it starts sounding crappy. So we listened to him and we put it out. You know, we put out the abbreviated version on vinyl, and tons of people were upset when they saw the CD version with the extra songs. So we re-released it with that extra track, and now a 3rd version is going to come out on CD. So yeah, that album has legs, huh?
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, that's yeah, dude. Like, I mean, I just, you know, well, you know what? In today's world, with everything being so, like people's attention spans being so short and everything, you know, like it can't hurt to have constant fucking more stuff thrown out there, you know. So
that's true. That's true. But if those guys like want to release it a 4th time, I'm gonna slap them.
You never know.
Yeah.
But you guys also have new music that you're working on, so you've got another record coming out at some point too.
I mean, that's gonna be a while from now, but yeah, we're already laying down the foundations for new material. And Doug Piercy, he has a lot of stuff, old and new, so there's no shortage of ideas and material. So I would imagine putting together a 2nd album is going to come pretty quickly. You know, it'll be natural and quick for sure.
Hell yeah! So you guys, so with Death Angel, you're heading over to Europe, and you're going to be playing Act 3 in its entirety, right?
Not on this run. On this run, this run's just going to be like a regular Death Angel set. You know, some stuff from every album and from all eras. You know. Actually, we're highlighting the album Evil Divide because it's celebrating its 10-year anniversary right now, and so we're doing like 4 or 5 songs from that album in the set, and then, you know, some stuff from the Ultraviolence and like all the other albums, or most of the other albums, I should say. So yeah, so it's a normal DA set, and then we go back to Europe in December with Violence, and that's going to be another Act 3 full album show. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, because I saw a post on Blabbermouth. They were talking about that, and that's what
right.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah, I mean, it'll be fun. That'll probably be the last of the Act 3 shows. We've done 2 American legs, and now we're doing this 1 European leg. And I mean, I'm not saying we'll never do it again, but I think for now, after that December run, we're going to move on to other things. You know, we got some exciting stuff to do next year. We're already booking tours for next summer, and we got some big announcements for next year. So it'll be exciting. And, you know, I'm not sure if Act 3 is going to work into all that, but maybe. Who knows?
Man, I got to say, dude, Act 3, like from my childhood, growing up days, you know, getting into thrash metal and everything, that was one of the records. That was one of my favorite fucking Death Angel records right there, dude. Like, I remember.
Oh yeah, man, it's my favorite. Absolutely my favorite.
Fucking Disturbing the Peace, man. Fuck, dude.
Yeah. the songs are so well crafted, man, and you just tell they put a lot of time and care into those songs. And there's just so much going on. There's a little bit of everything happening on that album. And like the album before, Frolic Through the Park, that album was all over the place, and it's a crazy musical experience. But with Act 3, they kind of like harnessed all that and made it make sense,
Yeah.
And I just love that album. The production's great. Max Norman's production job is incredible. The drums sound awesome, and it's been a joy playing these songs live. It's been a real challenge. I mean, these songs are super complex, and a lot of this stuff is out of my wheelhouse, or out of not my wheelhouse, but out of my comfort zone, I should say. So I had to do a lot of practicing for these tours we've done for Act 3, and every night it's super fun, but a real challenge. And man, it requires my full concentration. But again, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like, and fucking a room with a view, dude. Like, that is such a great fucking one of those power ballad things, that thrash bands were doing back in those days. But like, I guess you would call it a ballad because it has soft parts to it, but at the same time, it's just, I don't know, man. But
I mean, it's a total ballad, absolutely. But
I love
playing that song live too. It's fun watching the crowd's reaction, because this version of Death Angel has never played that song live, and they haven't played it live. I don't think since the Act 3 tour. Maybe they did it when they first got back together in the early 2000s. I'm not sure, but it's been a hell of a long time since anybody's heard that song live. So people flip out when we go into that song, and they know it's coming. People who are familiar with the album know it's coming because we do the album in order, so the songs in order. So they're totally excited. They're yelling it like "Room with a View." They know it's coming up, and we kick into it, and people love that song, man. It's a lot of fun. And I don't have that much experience playing ballads. I think I've only done a ballad in maybe 2 other bands. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat to shift gears and calm things down for 5 minutes. And I'm not going to say it's a break, because there's some complex little things in that song as well. So I got to be like full alert all the time. Even though it's a ballad and it's laid back, it's still an involved song. And it's just, I enjoy it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I always liked it when those kind of songs came on a heavy record like that. It just added to the dynamics of it, and it made the heavier shit sound even heavier, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, there's no shortage of dynamics on Act 3, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So tell us about the label, man. What's going on with that?
My partner Dave Hecht and I have been talking about doing something. Like, we weren't sure if it was going to be like a fanzine or a website, but something involving the Bay Area metal scene. We've been talking about it for a couple of years, and then last year we decided to get serious with it, and he came up with the idea of doing a record label, and making it like two halves of the label. Like, he's Hectic Metal, and I'm Bleeding Priest. So we kind of teamed up, so it's Hectic Bleeding Priest Records. But we're having a lot of fun with it. We've put out, I think, 5 releases now. We did a Nefarious. We did this band from Oakland, Trencher. We did a black metal band from San Francisco called Hellhunter that I play drums in. And we did these 2 new releases. We have Death Provider, which is like a death metal, like all-star lineup kind of thing. I play drums on every song, and we have members from Exhumed, like Matt Harvey sings and plays guitar on a couple songs. We have Dave Gorsuch from Insanity. A couple of guys from a local death metal band called Molten are on a bunch of tracks. Andre from Deathgrave sings on it. And the lead guitarist from Rip to Shreds plays on a song or 2. And it's Sonny from Necrot. He also plays on it as well. Does a couple leads, and it turned out great. It's the first real true death metal recording I've ever drummed on. I've had bands in the past that, you know, toyed with death metal a little bit and had death metal moments, but not full on, just balls out death metal. So I jumped at the chance to be a part of this recording just because I love death metal. It's my favorite type of metal. And finally I get a chance to play some, you know, so it was a lot of fun to make, and I'm stoked on how it turned out. And so that's one of our latest releases, and another one is the new Frolic album.
Yes.
Legacies of Cybernetica. So that turned out great, and we're stoked. They just had their record release show like a week ago, and sold a bunch of records there. And so yeah, we're keeping busy with the label. When I go on tour with Death Angel, I bring a ton of records with me, and I do it the old school way, man, the organic door-to-door salesman way. I go to record stores. I go to record stores in every city we play, and I sell my wares, man. And most of the time, like 90% of the time, the stores take what I have, and they'll take like 2 or 3 copies of each, and, you know, give me cash right there. And it's great, man. I love doing it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Some people trip on it like, wow, man, you're on tour playing drums, and then every day you're running around town selling records. You know, it's a lot of effort, but I love it, man. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy going to record stores. I like meeting the proprietors and becoming friends with them, and just being in the whole record store scene. I feel comfortable in it. It's where I want to be. I like it, and you know, whenever they buy records, I always give some love back, and I'll buy a record or 2 at their store, just, you know, make it good faith, you know. And yeah, it's a hell of a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it, and I'm good at it. I move records, baby. Like we just finished an 8-week U.S. tour, and like halfway through the tour, I had to have Dave ship me a whole new shit ton of records, a whole new supply of records for the second half of the tour. So
man, that's what's up, dude.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. We have a release. Our next release, I think, is in October, and that's going to be a live album by the band Blind Illusion.
Hell yeah.
They did a show with Exodus and Death Angel at the UC Theater in Berkeley last year. It was like the anniversary concert of Bonded by Blood, and it was a sold-out show, total raging Bay Area style show, and they recorded it. Blind Illusion recorded their set, and they sent it to us and said, you know, what do you think? Is this release worthy? And we thought it sounded killer, and yeah, it's coming out in October, I believe. I should know the date, but it's eluding me right now. But we're already getting a bunch of pre-orders for that one, so that should sell well. And when I go to Europe on Monday, I'm going to try to bring as many records as possible. I mean, it's kind of hard flying overseas with records, and they weigh a lot, and you know, they break. So I won't be able to bring as much as I did on the U.S. tour. I brought a lot on the U.S. tour, but you know, I'm going to bring a few and just pick some select metal record stores. There's lots of metal record stores in Europe that just, you know, only cater to metalheads. So those are the stores I'm going to be targeting and getting our product in. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love being a part of this label and putting out records and spreading the word of Bay Area metal, Bay Area thrash and death metal.
And doing it the old school way too, man. Like that's how it's done, dude. Like that's
yeah. A lot of the store owners are really impressed. They're like, "Wow, you came all the way over here just to sell a couple of records?" And I'm like, "You're damn right."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, dude, you mentioned Frolic, man, which is cool because, you know, a while back they hit me up for help with PR, man. So I've been working with them, and then this week Dave hit me up and was talking about the label and everything, which is what led to this interview. Shout out to him for that. But right. I just thought it was funny, you know, like the way that it sort of circulated around, you know. I was like, well, damn, dude, like it's a small world, man. I mean, it's big, totally, but it's small, man. You know, like it's weird, man. Totally.
Yeah, Frolic, I've been plugging along in the Bay Area scene for years now, and they kind of became a Bay Area local favorite. They were opening up lots of big shows and opening up for bigger bands and just gigging a lot. I gotta give them props for being having a good work ethic and just being busy all the time. Their name's always out there, and that's why we wanted to put their record out, because they're always playing live. Like, you know, there's always a social media presence, and you know, the people are constantly being reminded that Frolic is here. They're playing, and that's good. And that's what the record label wants to hear and see. You know, so it was a no-brainer putting out their new album for sure, and it turned out great. I think the album rips. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, they're a very easy band to work with because they're constantly posting stuff, and like that's like just what you said.
Yeah.
Like you got to do that. Like you got to be active, man. And they're definitely on the ball about that, man. And
absolutely.
That record's been getting some pretty good reviews, man, so far, man. So I'm happy for them, dude.
Totally. Yeah, like I hope they get like a nationwide tour, you know, and start breaking out of just playing in California. You know, they need to be heard. They need to be heard all over the place.
Hell yeah. So what's coming up next for you, man? What kind of stuff do you have lined up?
Well, you know, like I said, I'm doing that 4-week run with Death Angel, and then the 3-week run with Nefarious, and then after that, I come home and die. No, I'm just kidding. I go home and chill for a little bit. But I'll be, you know, working the label stuff and getting records out there all the while. And Dave and I are working on doing a series of records that we'll be re-releasing old demos from the late 80s, early 90s, and putting them on vinyl for the first time. So it's going to be called the Legacy series. Nice. And I think the first one we're going to do is Ulysses Siren. They're a legendary band, thrash band from San Francisco. Their heyday was like 86, 87, 88. And in that time frame, they put out 2 of the most crushing, incredible thrash metal demos I've ever heard. Still to this day, I mean, the quality of the songwriting and the performance and everything like stands the test of time. Those songs and those demos hold up today. When I play it to people, they're like, "Holy shit! Like whatever happened to this band?" And so, you know, like people from the Bay Area know who they are, but abroad, you know, they're pretty cult, you know, pretty underground. I actually drummed for them in the mid 2000s. They reformed, and we played a festival in Germany called Headbangers Open Air, which Death Angel is going to be playing in a couple of weeks, oddly enough. But we played that festival, so there are hardcore thrash metal nuts who know Ulysses Siren. And so we did that, and then the band kind of disintegrated once again, and now the main dude from the band, John Torres, he passed away years ago, so there's no chance of that band ever coming back. But those demos are so fucking amazing that they need to be heard, and they need to be on vinyl. So we're gonna put it out, you know. And then another band from San Francisco that we're hopefully gonna put out on vinyl is a band called Wrecking Machine. And again, their heyday was like the late 80s, early 90s, but they were probably the biggest unsigned thrash metal band in San Francisco from that time span, like 89 to like 92 or 91, 92. And in that time, they put out 2 fantastic demos as well. So we're going to put those on vinyl, hopefully by the end of the year. So yeah, we're even though I'm not going to be touring in October and November, I'm still going to be working with the label and staying busy with the music and working on new, you know, Nefarious stuff, working on new Death Provider. The main guy in Death Provider, Kenneth Dutton, he wrote all the music on the first album, and he's already writing songs for the second album. So I imagine I'll be doing demos and jamming with him as well, and probably do some local gigs with Hellhunter. And just stay busy until Death Angel goes out to Europe again in December, and then we have our Christmas shows at the end of the year, and by New Year's Eve I will feel complete. You know, like it's been a very busy year, and we've got a lot done, and I'm looking forward to the next year already. And we're only in July, but I'm already excited about 2027, man, for sure.
Hell yeah, dude. I think that's so cool that you're bringing old stuff like that to the light again. You know, like especially for for all the people out there that maybe never even heard of it or heard it. You know, like that's cool, man. Like
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, that just it needs to be done. You know, like it's I think it's important. You know, like to
there's no shortage of kick-ass demos from the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s Bay Area thrash scene. I mean, every local band was putting out like high quality, great sounding cassette tape demos around that time. So there's plenty of stuff to choose from for this Legacy series, and I'd imagine we're going to put out quite a few of these old demos on vinyl, and I hope people will enjoy them, as much as we do.
Now, for people out there that want to check that stuff out and keep up with it, where's the best place for them to go?
Go to hectic.com. Or you can go to hectic.com, and that's where you can order the records and hats and t-shirts for our label. But also, we have a website called sanfran666co.com. So it's the actual number 666. So www.sanfran666co.com. And that's a website that Dave and I are doing with a lot of content. We do Bay Area show reviews, metal and rock show reviews. We do, like, when I go on tour, I do tour blogs. And I just finished my Death Angel tour blog, the final installment. I think I did 5 parts. So I was doing it during the tour. Every couple of weeks I would do a blog, send it to Dave, he'd put it up on the site, and it would just be updates on what's happening on the tour, funny things that happened, and anything of interest that I want to share with people. And so I just did 5 parts of that, and the last one came up a couple days ago. So if you want to read, and they're funny stories. I mean, I definitely I make them colorful for sure. So if you want to check that out, just go to www.sanfran666co.com, and you can see all the Death Angel tour blogs and show reviews, and there's like local band updates. And so we cover just the Bay Area scene, and just with our label too. Like our label, we only release Bay Area bands. We're strictly 100% Bay Area metal. And on this last Death Angel tour, a lot of people were coming up to me and giving me their demos and just asking if I'd be interested in putting their album out on our label, like on vinyl. And as good as the music is, I can't. I tell them, look, man, we're just Bay Area. Maybe one day we'll branch out and do other stuff, but for now we just want to keep it strictly Bay Area and just show our love for this scene of ours,
Hell yeah, man. And you guys have a Bandcamp too, right?
Right. Yep. All of our releases are on there. Yep.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, for bands like that are reaching out to you about their demos that are not from that area, what's your advice to them? Like, what should they? What would you say to them, like, that they should probably do or try?
I mean, lots of bands like just put out vinyl themselves, and if you're playing on a tour or you have a bunch of shows coming up, that's a good way to do it. If you're gonna play lots of local gigs or do like a little mini tour of your area, that's a great way to push product and sell records. And people love vinyl right now, especially in the metalheads. It's ridiculous, and like people buy records. Like Death Angel, like on our tours, we have to re-up with vinyl. Like every week, it seems like we have to get another shipment of vinyl from Nuclear Blast just to keep the stock going because there's so much demand. So I would advise bands, if they really want to get their stuff out on vinyl, just do it yourself. It's expensive, but if you have a lot of gigs lined up, that's a great way to sell product, and you'll get rid of those records if you keep playing live and do tours.
Yeah, and there's so many different there's so many different companies, websites and stuff where bands can go now too and do it all DIY like that, and just order the copies themselves. And it is expensive, but like it's like you said, like the turnaround of it and what you'll make off of it should fucking as long as you're playing shows.
yeah, it might take a little while, but yeah, you'll reap the rewards from it. It blows my mind when cause I DJ this metal club here in San Francisco called the DNA Lounge. It's like the premier metal club in the Bay Area. Like most of the touring metal tours, like unless they're huge, like big tours, but most mid-level tours come to the DNA Lounge, and I'm the house DJ. I spin records between all the bands and before and after the show. But it blows my mind when I see bands come through town without vinyl. It's like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, you're gonna go through all this trouble of going on tour. You know, like it's not easy to go on tour. It costs a lot of money and a lot of preparation, and a lot of ducks have to be in a row. You know, like everything has to be aligned to make it work. So you're going to go through all this trouble. You're not going to bring vinyl. I mean, that's an instant guaranteed seller. You know, it's a guaranteed seller at a metal show. That the metal kids just love vinyl, and you know, I do too. You know, so yeah, like this, it doesn't make sense to tour without vinyl.
Oh yeah, you got to have vinyl. I mean, you got to have merch. Period. Like, you know, like it's super important, man. Like we do the Tennessee Metal Devastation Music Festival here in Jackson, Tennessee, and every year that we've done it, man, every band that's come out, like, I mean, underground bands like that, some of them that nobody's ever even heard of, but like the ones that come fucking stocked with fucking a bunch of merch, vinyl, t-shirts, you know, you name it, patches, whatever. They're selling that shit like fucking hotcakes, man, because that's what the fans like, you know, like that's what metalheads fucking like, you know, like that's just, and that's one of the cool things about this genre, I think, that's different from a lot of other types of genres, you know what I mean? Like I don't know that if you see that much, you know, in like pop music and country music and stuff like that. I can't really say because I'm not in those bubbles, but as far as metal is concerned, like I see, you know, the fans, man, they fucking go crazy over.
I mean, metal's a touring game. You know, like if you're in a metal band, the only way you can get your name out there really and make it is to tour, and that doesn't really apply to lots of other types of music like pop or hip hop or even country. Like I don't see, like, you know, like a band, let's say a band at the level of Nefarious, you know, like a band at that level. I don't see like small country acts coming through town. Not that I'm looking for it, but I do keep an eye at all the club listings and who's playing where. And I never see like touring country acts, or I mean, giant major mega country stars, yeah, but like starting out bands, I don't know where they come from or how they get to the giant level. I mean, it's just a different game. Like they release singles and they have videos, but with metal, singles and videos aren't really an option for us metalheads and metal bands. So we have to tour. That's our only option. That's the only way to do it. And yeah, you gotta have merch, like you said, and especially vinyl. Vinyl.
Yeah. You know, another thing that I was just thinking of, because since you mentioned, we were talking about that, like I was talking about it on another interview recently, man. Like it's crazy, like how the mainstream media still to this day will try to kind of pretend like metal and hard rock and stuff is not as big as what it really is. But when you look at it, look at all these festivals and shit, like some of the stuff that you guys are going out and playing, you know, like you're playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people, man, seas of people, dude. Like they come to these fucking shows. You don't really see that with these other genres, man. You don't. Like it's just it's fucking metal is fucking huge, man. Like fuck, man. Like it's crazy. But at the same time, still getting kicked to the side. Like it's not, you know, it's weird, man.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, I kind of have like a love-hate thing with that, because like in the '80s when metal was all over MTV and in the public's eye, it was great. I loved it. It was awesome to grow up in that. Like metal was the norm almost, you know, and it was so huge and just everywhere. And now, you know, it's totally swept under the rug and underground, and I like that too. You know, I kind of like the fact that mainstream media turns its back on metal. That's fine, man. Fuck you. Like we're we're here and we're gonna continue on with or without you. You know, we're gonna survive, and so I kind of like that too. So I like both sides of it. But it'll never be like it was in the 80s. Not to sound like an old guy going, oh, you should have been there. I'm not trying to say that, but in the 80s, it was just insane. You turn on the TV, and you saw a metal video at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it was on MTV all the time. It was everywhere. And it'll never, ever again be like that. Never, never, ever again will it be like that.
Yeah, I know, man. I grew up in that era, too, man. But, like... Yeah, and I get what you're saying too. Like, you know, like I think it's kind of cool that, you know, that it is still fucking considered the stepchild or whatever. You know, like it's not like I thought it was. You know, it was just fucking funny. You know, like Iron Maiden has always said that, you know, if they get inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they ain't fucking going. And lo and behold, they did, and they ain't going, man. Like they're like, fuck that. You know?
Yeah, you know,
fucking hilarious, also, man. But like, much respect, dude.
There was definitely a downside in the 80s to metal being exposed so much. Like, I just remember, I remember, like, being into Metallica, you know, for, you know, I got into Metallica during Ride the Lightning. Like, that's when I discovered them. And then I went back and got Kill 'Em All, and then I loved Master of Puppets. And then, like, you know, after a Master of Puppets, I just noticed that other people at my school were listening to Metallica, like jocks, and as soon as that happened, it was like, you know, it just kind of took the magic away. Like a lot of douchebags were all of a sudden listening to Metallica. They weren't like metalheads; they were just, you know, they heard of Metallica, and Metallica's blowing up. And I'm just using Metallica as an example. I'm not blaming Metallica for anything. And of course, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how huge they became, and they deserve it and all that. But you know, just it was just kind of weak seeing these non-metalhead people who would scoff at me like a week ago for listening to Metallica, all of a sudden like Metallica because they heard or they saw the one video or something. You know what I mean? So there's a downside to it. And I even remember my older brother, like, you know, Van Halen was his favorite band. He loved Van Halen. And then when 1984 came out, all these people out of school who weren't rockers or weren't metalheads were wearing Van Halen t-shirts, and like the day before they were listening to Huey Lewis, and now they're listening to Van Halen. So I remember him being kind of bummed about that. So it just kind of takes the magic away. It's no longer your band. But so I experienced the same thing, you know, a few years later with Metallica. So it's kind of funny, but you know, so it's a double-edged sword when things are so big and so exposed. But I kind of like it now today, how, you know, only the real metalheads are listening to metal. You know, it's how it should be.
Yeah, man. I remember, you know, I was a huge Metallica fan too. Like, well, I mean, I still am, but like when I was young, it was really, you know, like massive. But then I remember when the Black Album came out, and like you said, all the jocks in school and everything, all the kids that used to make fun of us for looking the way that we did or whatever, now all of a sudden they had Metallica shirts on. Now all of a sudden it was cool. And I remember in high school, I got invited by a friend to go see them on the Black Album tour, and I didn't go. And because at the time, you know, being a fucking teenager or whatever, you know, at that time in my life, I was just like, man, you know, fucking Slayer, dude, Deicide, you know, like, for whatever reason, I just didn't want to go, and I turned it down. And now looking back, I'm like, you fucking idiot, you should have gone, man. Like, you should have fucking.
You should have gone. I went to the Black Album
cool.
tour, and I wasn't even really listening to Metallica anymore at that point. But I went to the tour, and it was fantastic. It was an amazing show. It was at the Cow Palace, this legendary venue, or legendary concert hall in San Francisco, Daly City, actually. But that was one of the best shows I ever saw at the Cow Palace. Metallica, like that whole snake pit stage, and they were on fire, man. They were on fire, and you know, like seeing that show, it just totally made sense why they're on their way to being the biggest metal band in the world. And remains so till this day. Just seeing that show, I was like, yeah, I mean, these guys are on their way and they deserve it, and it makes sense, you know. But I was just going on a different path, you know. I was starting to listen. By that point, I was full on death metal. So, you said,
Me too,
I was
man.
listening to DSI, and Morbid Angel and stuff. So
Yeah,
you know, I just got into more evil stuff, I guess. You know?
But fuck, man, looking back, you know, like when I watch Binge and Purge and shit like that, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, they were still playing Creeping Death. They were still doing Whiplash and all those fucking great songs, man. Like, it was still there. You know? Yeah, man, you know, but, you know, I mean, you live and you learn, man. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what are you going to do?
Hell yeah. But I did go see Slayer back then, so that was cool. Like, I'm glad.
You know, I didn't see Slayer until South of Heaven tour, which was kind of late, you know. But I mean, I don't know why I didn't go see him on Rain and Blood. I wasn't going to club shows just yet. I was just a little too young when Rain and Blood came out to see them on that tour. But when South of Heaven came out, they opened for Judas Priest on the Ram It Down tour.
Oh man!
And again at the Cow Palace, and what a legendary show that was, dude. I mean, you know, like I love Ram It Down, you know, but it still wasn't the comeback that everyone was hoping for. It was definitely heavier than Turbo, and you know, it was a metal album, but it still had turbo flavor to it. And I mean, again, I was into the album, but it wasn't the comeback we were all expecting. That didn't happen until Painkiller.
Yeah, Painkiller, man. Holy shit.
That's the comeback album. But, you know, so anyways, Priest were coming through town on Ram It Down, and Slayer were opening during South of Heaven. And so my friends, all my friends and I were like, oh, man, Slayer's going to blow Judas Priest away. And that's saying a lot because Judas Priest is my favorite metal band. Kiss is my favorite band overall, but Judas Priest is my favorite heavy metal band. And I'm a Priest fanatic, dude. My Priest vinyl collection is pretty crazy. I have a shit ton of bootlegs. I have every single, just a lot of stuff. But anyways, so even I was like agreeing with my friends, like, yeah, I know this is going to be brutal, man. Slayer's going to destroy them. And Slayer came on, and they were incredible. They were amazing. It was my first time seeing them, so I was losing my mind for them. It was also my first time seeing Priest as well. And dude, Priest came on, and they completely fucking dominated. I can't say they blew Slayer away because Slayer were so great, but Priest were better than Slayer, and we couldn't possibly imagine that happening. But it did. And it wasn't just us saying that. Everyone in the crowd were floored by how aggressive Priest were playing. They were playing all the songs really fast. They played the Ram It Down songs way more aggressive than on the album. That was Halford's vocal peak, I think, on that tour. He was screaming his ass off and just going beyond the records, like just hitting octaves higher and screaming more. Like Sinner, when they played Sinner on that tour, that was the best version of Sinner I'd ever heard, including Unleashed in the East. It was just unbelievable. So I walked away from that show just like Priest for life. Like, I mean, in 1988, there's not many bands in the world that could top Slayer live, but Priest did it, and that just reconfirmed my love for Judas Priest forever. And that's why I always say Priest over Maiden.
Well, you know, I think Judas Priest was always able to kind of, like, they were always able to kind of see what was going on around them and see like the trajectory path or whatever, and sort of and spearhead right into it. You know, like fucking just no fucks given, man. Like, you know, like what you know. I mean, I can imagine, you know, like they're coming on after Slayer, so they're thinking, you know, well, these fucking kids are here. Let's show them something, man. You know, like
yeah. They were playing like their lives depended on it, and in some ways, you know, their careers were kind of hanging in the balance because they, you know, the Turbo, as successful as Turbo was, commercially successful, they did lose a lot of core fans with that album. So, you know, they really had something to prove. Again, like just seeing Slayer's name on the ad, I was like, what are they thinking having Slayer open for? Were they crazy? but they were up for the challenge for sure.
What about when Rob Halford went off on his own and did Fight, and then he did the fucking the Halford records too? I love those fucking records too, man. Like,
dude, the first Halford album is as good, if not better, than some Judas Priest albums. That's how much I love that record, man.
Yeah.
That's another comeback album. Holy fuck, because he did a couple of Fight albums, which were cool, and then he did the 2 thing with Trent Reznor, which I also thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it was commercially unsuccessful. It bombed, and people just kind of like forgot about Rob Halford for a while, and he disappeared for a little bit. And when he came back with that first Halford self-titled album, man.
Yeah.
Incredible record. Incredible.
Well, he's on the front cover on the fucking bike, dude. He's got the leather on. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I saw him on that tour, on his first solo tour, and what a show, man. And he did some killer Priest songs like Riding on the Wind, I think Beyond the Realms of Death. Like, yeah, he did some deeper cuts by Priest, and it was so awesome. He did some Fight songs too. Like, he covered his whole career. He didn't do any 2 songs, but all of his metal stuff, like, he covered a little bit of everything. It was great. And fucking awesome.
That song, Light Comes Out of Black, that they did with Pantera.
Yep.
Fuck, man.
And the duet with Bruce Dickinson.
Yes.
The One You Love to Hate.
Yeah, the
awesome
One You Love
song.
to Hate. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. Fucking legends, dude.
Totally.
Fucking legends, man. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, like, what kind of stuff got you into fucking metal when you were a kid? Like, what was your upbringing in that? But you kind of, I don't know, you kind of answered that a little bit on your own already.
100% Kiss. 100% Kiss. They got me into rock and roll, which led to heavy metal. So I got to go all the way back to the beginning. It's Kiss. I got into Kiss when I was like 5 years old. One of my siblings brought home Kiss Alive 2, and once I saw that gatefold, I actually heard the music first, and I was like, whoa, this sounds exciting. And then I looked at the gatefold, and it just blew my mind. And I've been a Kiss, diehard Kiss fan ever since. I love all eras of Kiss, except for Crazy Nights and Hot in the Shade. The late 80s, they put out some shitty albums, but all the other 80s albums I love. Lick It Up's my favorite Kiss album. So that shows you how much I love the non-makeup era. And like they put out 3 Stone Cold metal albums. 4 maybe. The Elder is a pretty metal album. Then Creatures in the Night, Lick It Up, and Animalize are all straight up metal. And I love that era of Kiss. But from Kiss, I got into I was into Van Halen and AC/DC and all the standards. And then I got into like Motley Crue, like the first 2 albums, and Rat, the first EP. The first EP and Out of the Cellar, it's incredible, and Wasp and all those bands, and the popular bands like Scorpions and stuff. But Metallica, like I said, was the gateway to heavier stuff. And then from Metallica, I just same bands I'm sure you listened to after hearing Metallica, like Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth. And then the more underground stuff.
Overkill.
Testament. Testament. All the Bay Area. Oh yeah, and then Metallica also opened my eyes to the Bay Area metal scene. I didn't really know much about a Bay Area metal scene, really. So with Metallica, I discovered Exodus, Testament, Violence, Forbidden. The list goes on and on. Blind Illusion, Mordred. Just all these bands, and then I really fell in love with the European thrash metal scene, like Creator and Coroner,
Destruction,
and Destruction, and Voivod. Well, Voivod's Canadian, but like all the Noise Records bands. When I discovered Noise Records, that was my shit. That was what I really, really got into, like Celtic Frost. I call them Celtic Frost. I've been calling them Celtic Frost since I was like 12 years old or whatever. And then in the 90s, everyone started calling them Celtic, so I'm sticking with the original. I know it's not the right way to say it, but,
I still call them Celtic Frost, too, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
It just shows our age. I guess. But, yeah, like Celtic Frost, Coroner, and Creator, those are like the 3 bands I really... And Voivod. those are the 4 bands I gravitated to, and they were all on Noise Records. So I was a huge fan of Noise Records, man. Like this, every release I checked out. I loved all those bands. Like
man, I saw a creator recently,
Watchtower,
with Merciful Fate, man, on that tour that they did a few years ago, man.
Oh yeah, I saw that tour.
Fucking badass, man.
Oh, what a show, man! Talk about high quality. Like you're getting your money's worth with those 2 bands, man.
Yeah.
And Creator, they still have that brutality. Even though the newer stuff is a little bit more melodic and geared toward bigger crowds, kind of like a Amon Amarth type of thing going on. But even so, I like their new stuff still, and their old stuff is always going to be just face melting thrash. But they have quite a visual thing going on now. They put a lot of money into their performance. It's not just the 4 dudes playing thrash metal. They have like the Creator demon like inflated behind the drum set and all kinds of like little props, and I appreciate that. I love it when older metal bands, especially thrash metal bands, have a big production like that. Like Testament is another band that puts a lot of money into their production and their presentation. It looks great. Like you feel like you're at a real concert. You're not just at like a local thrash metal show. You're at a full-on metal concert with these big productions. I love it. And Creator is really hitting it out of the park with their stage production for sure. Yeah. And of course, Merciful Fate. Merciful Fate. Obviously, the production's toned down from King Diamond. King Diamond's stage is over the top, but even Merciful Fate still had a really cool looking stage, and I just love it. It just makes the heavy metal experience that much more fun. It just feels more real when there's a glowing upside down cross on stage, and King Diamond cutting a baby open or whatever he's doing. It just makes it more real.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know if I was ever gonna even see fucking Merciful Fate live. Like when that happened, when they announced that tour, I was like, oh, we gotta go. We have to.
Oh man, the new song they played on that tour, the new Merciful Fate song, I think it's called like Jackal of Salzburg or something.
Yeah.
What a song, man! And I saw them 3 times on that tour. I saw them in Hungary. Death Angel I think Death Angel played a festival that Merciful Fate was headlining. So we saw them there, and then I saw them on the Creator tour in the States. And I saw them one other time in Europe somewhere, and maybe Slovenia. And they did the same set more or less all 3 times. So they played that song. So I've seen that song live 3 times, and by the 3rd time, I was pretty familiar with it. And what a song, man! And it's a good 7 or 8 minutes long, I think, too. So I love when Merciful Fate digs in and do these epically long, evil songs. So if the rest of the album, I don't know how far along they are with writing the rest of the album or recording, but if the rest of the album is sounding like that song, then I'm really excited about hearing a new Merciful Fate record.
Oh,
and I haven't said that in a long time. I mean, their comeback album, In the Shadows, I think that's as good as Melissa and Don't Break the Oath. I hold that album that high, high regard.
Yeah,
that is one of the greatest metal comeback albums of all time. And then the subsequent albums were good, to varying degrees, but none of them compared to In the Shadows. So I kind of started losing interest by the time 9 came out. I did get that album eventually, but I didn't rush out to get it, just because I just was kind of losing interest a little bit. But this new Merciful Fate song, it has re-piqued my interest, and if the rest of the album sounds like that, I can't wait to hear it. Who knows when that will be, but I look forward to new Merciful Fate for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that Into the Shadows was like a hugely underrated album, man. Like that.
It really was, man. Not everyone, but a lot of people were just comparing it to the first 2 albums, the first 2 full lengths, and like what is there to compare? It's just as good. There's no comparison unless you're making a positive comparison. But that album should have been way bigger and appreciated way more. It's a very underappreciated record for sure, man. Like the Bell Witch and the Old Oak and Legend of the Headless Rider.
Yeah, dude.
Those 3 songs, man, are epics, man. They're all epic tracks, man. I love it. I remember on a recent Death Angel tour, I played Rob Cavastani, Legend of the Headless Rider. He had never heard that song, and he was floored by it. He's like, really? This is 1990s Merciful Fate? I'm like, yeah, man, 93. And he loved it, man. That's a creepy tune. I mean, Hank Sherman can write some of the most quirky, unsettling riffs you've ever heard, and that song has nothing but unsettling riffs in it, man. I love it.
And the Return of the Vampire at the end with fucking Lars.
With Lars Ulrich? Yeah, that's great too, man. That's killer. Awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I remember buying that when it came out, man. When I saw the video for Bell Witch, immediately.
No, the first video was Egypt.
Oh, was it Egypt? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. But what a fucking great record, dude. Like every song on there, man, and the artwork and everything, dude. Like the whole thing.
Totally. It's funny. I remember the day I bought that record. I bought it the day it came out. At this record store called Musicland at the mall, the local mall in my neighborhood, and for some reason I ended up at Ted Aguilar's house. Ted from Death Angel. Him and I went to high school together, so I ended up at his house with the CD. And I was like, dude, can I please listen to this CD here? I can't wait to get home. I have to hear it now. And I remember just sitting in his living room, listening to the new Merciful Fate with like his grandparents walking around and stuff. It wasn't like it was a weird scene listening to new Merciful Fate, like the first Merciful Fate I'm hearing, in almost a decade, So I'll never forget that, just rocking out, and I was loving it. I was like, dude, this album's amazing, and his grandfather's just chilling there and stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. All right, dude. Well, I guess I'm about out of questions for you, man. Is there anything else you want to let people know?
No, man. Just be on the lookout for Hectic Bleeding Priest releases, and I just finished an 8-week tour of the U.S. putting records in all the local record shops. So chances are you might find one of our releases in your local store. So and check out Sanford666co.com and go to hectic.com if you want to buy some of our stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, man. Well, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Absolutely.
Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Will from Death Angel, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio."
Okay. Just go ahead and do it whenever?
Yeah.
This is Will Carroll from Death Angel, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, Will, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, man. I really appreciate it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blast some more Death Angel for these motherfuckers so they go crazy, all right?
Okay, man.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers. There you have it, folks. Will Carroll from fucking Death Angel, live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway, do whatever you gotta do, man. If you don't see U-Haul trucks every fucking where tomorrow, what the fuck are you even doing, man? Like, fuck. Serious, man. And that was badass too, by the way. Goddamn, dude. That was cool. Crank it up, motherfuckers.